Hi, I'm Sam McGee, a resident of Mint Hill for the last half century. It's my pleasure to share some of the history of my town with you and to tell you about a fine organization that's dedicated to the preservation of that history, the Mint Hill Historical Society. Today, Mint Hill is a modern town of 20,000 residents. But its history goes back to the mid-1700s. Settlers from Pennsylvania and Maryland traveled the Great Wagon Road in search of rich farmland and religious freedom. And they found what they were looking for in the red clay hills of Piedmont, North Carolina. Here they established farms, built churches, and schools, here they lived, worked, played, and raised families. Many led quiet lives, while others led the rebellion against the English crown. 3 signers of the 1775 Mecklenburg Declaration were from Mint Hill and are buried in Rocky Spring Burial Ground, the oldest cemetery in the area. Some 150 years later, by the early 1900s, Mint Hill had become a quiet farming community. Our little town was home to several churches, a public high school, a few stores, contract post office, and a country doctor's office. The Mint Hill Historical Society, chartered in 1985, has assembled several historical buildings from various sites in the area to create the Carl J. McEwen Historic Village. They represent life in this community at the beginning of the 20th century, when Mint Hill had an agrarian economy. The Country Doctors Museum was the first building to be moved to the park. Dr. John D. Orman built this office in the 1880s. Later, when he moved his practice to Charlotte, Dr. Ayer Whitley began practicing medicine in Mint Hill. Dr. Whitley served the needs of the community for over 43 years. And delivered more than 6,000 babies along the way. People often paid for his services with produce from their farms, eggs, milk, potatoes, whatever they had. This museum, one of the few dedicated to the country doctor, focuses on different medical practices and cures, from colonial times through the mid-1950s. In the early 1920s, the Ira V. Ferguson Country Store was a popular gathering place. There, women shopped for flour, sugar, cooking utensils, and perhaps a few yards of calico and matching thread, while the men swapped stories around the pot-bellied stove and enjoyed a soda or two. One of the store's most unusual features was the refrigeration box in the floor. You could add a block of ice and actually keep things cold. The post office window came from the John McEwen store, located for many years at the corner of Lawyers and Matthews Mint Hill Roads. The Ferguson Country Store closed in 1933. The Ashcraft School represents early education in Mint Hill. In September 1886, the Public School Committee paid Walter and Sarah Ashcraft $20 for 1 acre of land to build the school. Formerly located near the Rocky Spring Burial Ground, the one-room school provided instruction in reading, writing, and arithmetic to students from 5 to 20 years of age. After finishing their studies here, students could continue their education at Bain High School, founded in 1889, and for many years, one of only 2 public high schools in Mecklenburg County. Today, children who visit the school are fascinated by the way students were taught 100 years ago, when they wrote on slates, learned to recite poems and stories in front of the class, brought their lunches in tin buckets, helped keep the fire in the stove, and carried water to the school. The assay office came from the Surface Hill Gold Mine in Mint Hill, one of the most productive in Mecklenburg County and one of 25 mines that operated in the area. Opened in 1844, 5 years before the California Gold Rush, the mine put Mint Hill on the map. In fact, gold mining may have given the town its name, but this has never been confirmed. In the spring of 2011, a group of engineering students from the Virginia Military Institute, along with their professor and several experts in timber framing, spent 2 days at the historic village installing 2 granite Chilean mill wheels. The wheels were used to crush quartz stones and separate the gold. These remarkable wheels are believed to be the only ones of their kind in operation in the United States. Today, our visitors can learn about gold mining in its heyday and actually pan for gold in the panning troughs. All these buildings come to life day after day, year after year, when our dedicated volunteers lead tours and teach school groups about early education, medicine, agriculture, politics, and the social life of the community. People interested in tracing their family tree use the archives to find their ancestors. Many other visitors are attracted to the historic village by the special events, such as the seasonal farmers market, the Urban Flower Festival, Discover Mint Hill Day, the Salute to Veterans, and of course the famous Christmas teas. There's really something here for every age group and practically every interest. We invite you to come and become a member of the Mint Hill Historical Society. There's always a need for volunteers, and we know that you have special talents to share. Come see us.